All right. Very good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure for me to moderate this interesting session on Gen Next Jewelers. We have with us a very interesting set of young jewelry entrepreneurs with us, starting from Mr. Anand from NSC Jewelers, Chennai, Mr. Anish Birawat, Chain and Chain, Mumbai. We have Kirtana Gandhi from Vaibhav Jewelers, Vizag, and we have Mr. Rohan Narang from Hazurilal Jewelers, New Delhi. Kirtana has today logged in from her hometown, Anandpur. Thank you all for joining in for a short notice. So, without any further delay, we'll straight away start our discussion. The whole idea to put this panel discussion is that today we see a lot of younger generations coming and joining the family business, taking different roles, specialized roles, general roles, and also expanding the businesses. So I'll start with you, Anand. So tell me, what kind of a shift do you see in the younger generation in terms of preferences, in terms of trends for buying jewelry, especially after this post-pandemic? I know it's too early, but still you have a lot of retail stores in South India. Do you see any shift, any different approach towards gold and diamond?
Uh, Good afternoon. Sumesh, to answer your question, the trend has always been, lightweight jewelry for the younger generation. They always try to prefer, something very lightweight that they can wear on an everyday basis as well. And even when you see when they want to take bigger pieces or larger pieces, they would always prefer that they will be able to, remove it and make it into two or three pieces later, so that it doesn't sit in their locker every time. So they'll want to wear it on a daily basis, or maybe a smaller occasion, stuff like that. So that trend has always been, the same for when it comes to youngsters. But maybe post pandemic, like you said, it is pretty early for us to judge. But what we would say is, of course, we are still yet to see, impulse buys happening. We are only seeing, customers who are walking in case there is a wedding, or in case there is, uh, purpose towards their buy.
Right.
We are still not able to see customers who just walk in, to just gift themselves, or, just to buy something to feel good, or, stuff like that. So that is something that is still lagging behind. But customers who are walking in general are only, buying because they have a purpose, or because they have
Right.
an occasion, or because they have an event and stuff like that.
Right. No, what I'm coming from the perspective was that, gold today has established as a very good financial asset. And the youngsters now, do they relate to this as a great financial asset compared to, see, jewelry was not a priority. They used to spend on, their mobile phones or gadgets or holidays. But today, everybody has got a little jerk, has shocked that they need a financial security. So do you think that younger generation will be able to relate to gold more, closely and be able to have more confidence?
To an extent, I wouldn't say it's completely changed their perspective towards jewelry buying, but to an extent, yes. Like, I have few of my friends who've started, that thinking whether they want to invest in gold coins and stuff, where previously they had, no clue. But
Hmm.
right now, looking at the rate fluctuation and all that, they are asking me questions, and they are calling me up for, some advice, saying, is it a right time to buy gold, or do you think I have to start investing in gold? So of course, I told them, this you should have done 10 years back.
Right.
Gold is always an asset where you can invest on. So you definitely, so that I would say it's kind of, giving them, starting them, making them think, rather, to see whether this is an actual asset class that they will want to, get into.
Right.
And whereas when you say, see, when you take today's women, or the young girls, I personally, I've always seen it in my friends, or in people that I go around with. When
Right.
it comes to buying jewelry, yes, they definitely want to buy only smaller weight, and they don't have the mindset of purchasing something so big. Why to invest, on so much? I would rather go take a holiday, for that amount and stuff like that. But when it comes to their wedding, their mindset changes. When it comes to
Right.
wedding, they definitely want to wear, the best of the jewelry. They want to be adorned as a bride, and all that. So I feel that is always there. Even if personally, with few of my friends, I saw that happen. Whereas for their wedding, they ended up buying jewelry. So I think that aspiration, or that has always been there, and I don't think that's going to go away that easily. But yes, of course, depending on the current situation, people have started thinking about gold as an asset class itself.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for that interesting insights. By the way, Anand is a third generation jeweler, right, Anand?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
all three generations still they sit together in one office and operate. I've been personally to their office. His grandfather, his father, Mr. Anand, and he. Right. Moving on to Mr. Anish Birawat. Anish, you're also like a third generation jewelry entrepreneur, right? Or fourth?
Both.
Fourth generation. Yeah, that's what I wanted to get it correct. And what I've seen you as a personally, as a young entrepreneur, you're also very technically sound. Being into jewelry manufacturing, you look at everything from a very, technology point of view. So from that perspective, what opportunities and challenges do you see in jewelry industry coming in from innovation point of view, technology and creativity?
Sumesh, right, luckily, we have been into that aspect of jewelry which requires a lot of machinery and technically. See, even with Indian perspective and kind of jewelry that India did, it's a lot of handcrafted, a lot of intrinsic designing thing that Indians do. The kind of category.
Anish, may I request you a bit louder, please, or be close? Huh? Yes.
So that should be good enough. Yeah. So interestingly, we have been doing things, or we have been making products which is very, very technology intensive. Machinery is worth a couple of million rupees, and the whole product line that we have been manufacturing. Luckily, we got into the technologically intensive where mass production section of chains and casting jewelry. And interestingly, that particular category is the only category which requires so much of technology, so much of machinery, so much of technical expertise to make a jewelry. So, and the way it's been like 15 years almost that I've been into the business, and I've known and understood how it's only increasing. Saying that when it is increasing, more and more people are now trying to invest into technology, which is important. Now, it may not be innovation in terms of only product manufacturing, but I think innovation needs to be there across the way you do things, the way you make things, the way you sell things, the way you interact with your customers, the way you manage your inventory. So I think at that particular aspect of doing things the way you want to do, there you need to, I see a lot of changes happening. Whether it's being software, it's being the kind of connecting to consumers, or data-driven approach to planning your inventory or supply chain, or at the same time manufacturing. So I think of a lot of changes, a lot of technological development, a lot of newer ways or innovative ways of doing things are happening.
Right. But do you come across any resistance from your older generation? Women like to invest a lot of money on technology, software, machinery. Probably your other older generation and the senior family members, since the family business you run, they get convinced with your ideas, or you have to sell them the benefits and all. How does it work?
So interestingly, luckily, I've been to the other side of the table. My dad initiated the whole technological drive and involvement as far as Indian context is concerned, the jewelry situation is concerned. So we were one of the earlier movers to get into machine manufacturing, or mass manufacturing kind of an infrastructure. So that is not a challenge. The only challenge comes is where we need to be a bit more aggressive. And what I have learned from the elder generation is you need to plan up things and you need to move, but also understand, you have a choice. Like you have this freedom right now to make your choices, but then the consequences you should be able to understand. So you need to have a very fine balance between the way you do things and the way older generation is done. But I don't think so. As far as our perspective is concerned, there is not more challenge. But I understand the traditional background or the mindset of people. Slowly, as the younger generation comes in, people, and with this COVID, this thing, people have really understood doing a Zoom call and being technologically very. We are in Iijs virtual platform. We have been I mean, I have a customer who is almost 65, 70-year-old, and he actually selected jewelry online. And that was fascinating. I mean, so I think it's just a matter of time that we evolve onto all these things.
Right. So let us say if we look 20 years back and today, your investments on technology, on software, on automation must have gone up. Say like by what percentage? Let us say if earlier you are spending 2%. Example I'm taking 2% of your turnover or your sales goes in technology because you manufacture very specialized machine made chains, and you need to bring out with a two color tone, you need to bring out a lightweight trend. So today, how much your investment percentage has grown in technology?
So, see, we divide technology, in fact, into three parts. One is our infrastructure development in terms of machinery. One is our service development. So, my office, we went paperless 15 years back, Sumesh bhai.
Paperless office 15 years back.
15 years
Wow.
back.
I have a lot of papers in my office, but
It's for us, all our invoices, billing, everything.
everything digital.
So हम लोग चिट्ठी accounts खाना हम नहीं रखते कुछ भी. There are no paper.
So you have your own software development team, or you took in a package software?
Whenever a customer comes and signs it, paper पे चिट्ठी लिखना पड़ता है, sign करना. We have a digital pad which we installed 12 years back.
Oh really?
Yeah. So I mean, we have been investing. So every aspect of our business, we have got IT involved. Let it be ordering, let it be invoicing, let it be manufacturing, let it be cataloging, let it be any aspect of whatever we do now. I've involved IT certain way. We may not be like 100% complete to that because of ever evolving technological situation or the market condition of the people know how. But every aspect we have included technology across. We have been selling on Skype since like last 5 to 6 years. We have been doing the digital cataloging and imagery from last 7, 8 years. So we have been doing that particular aspect in machinery. I mean, you have seen us across international exhibitions into machinery and going down to so the technological investment is not an option, it is a core part of the business. And the more and early we realize this, I think it's better for all of us.
It would have been much easier for you to kind of adapt to this new post-COVID digital system of selling and doing business.
I mean, maybe if we have some time, I'll share some picture about how my office today looks like a complete studio rather than a jewelry office. We have 4 5 cameras, room set
Please,
up.
Yeah, if you can show us, Anish bhai, if you are able to rotate the camera, show us. Possible?
One second, I'll just have to take the laptop across and do a little. Do you have that kind of liberty to do it? Then I'll.
Yeah, we have. It'll be, I think, useful to all of us and our listeners that what kind of a technology you are using to work it out.
So this is the whole camera setup. You can see. Just the website. This is the Iijs virtual platform that it is happening.
All right.
Kit one.
So your CAT team is linked to the camera, live cameras.
Everything is live. People are just doing this. They're selling it online. You have this headphones across. So the whole it's completely a virtual studio that we are doing it. And people are just taking this online.
Right. Great. Yeah. Thank you for that live insight and actually what's happening. Thank you. We move on to now Kirtana Gandhi. Kirtana is a young and second generation entrepreneur, right, Kirtana, if I'm right?
Third generation. My grandfather was part of
this. Okay. So third generation.
Correct. Yeah.
Wonderful. Right. So I have actually a question, which is a generic question. I'll start with you, but run with all our 4 panelists, is that how do you manage this culture of, and a balance of tradition and of set up by the founders at the same time when you guys, the young entrepreneurs, come with a right specialized education and with the fresh ideas and with the whole new world around you, you want to bring in disruption, you want to bring in, so do you have any kind of clash of interest with your family elders, or you kind of, how do you balance your views and implement their views also?
So firstly, we should be really thankful for
your voice is a bit breaking. Can you be a bit louder, please?
Because of all their Yeah. So, firstly, we should be really thankful for what we have at the moment, because
Right.
it's in the last 25 years, or like whatever each company's legacy is, that we are standing here.
Right.
So, we should be extremely proud about it. So there's obviously we have to balance. There will be yes, there will be no, there will be a lot of clarifications, explanations, going back and forth. Everything is there, but the only one thing I
Hmm.
would say, like how we as a company managed the change,
Hmm.
was involving the stakeholders. Whoever has to be present and whoever has to be, whatever their process has to be changed, they have to be informed, they have to be involved, they have to be given the authority and responsibility to do the process or the flow. So only then you feel like, okay, there is a change, but it's it's after my acceptance that it has been done. So I am okay with the entire process, so I don't see it as a change. I am evolving for the good. So there's no like, oh my god, there's a big change that is happening, or this, that,
Right.
no. So
To
we
use
are
the word involvement is very important. You
gradually
bring
moving.
everyone on the same page.
Correct.
That means a lot
Yeah,
of
you bring
discussions,
everybody on the
convincing, brainstorming.
everything. So we being young, we might be very quick, we might adapt to technology, but somebody who's there since the last 20 years
Ah,
may not be that tech savvy, but they have a lot of experience. So we have to train them, we have to teach them, we have to pair them up with somebody who is tech savvy and use their resources. So we do
right.
something like that, where we have to read the old world well, till date we are in. So right now, the old thought is, maybe if we go online, our designs are copied. All that can be done now. Like in this era, we have to be online. Our designs have to be shared. So I have to go e-commerce. I have to show my designs. I have to show who I am. So I can't sit and say no. I have to retain my
Correct.
designs. I mean, people will copy my designs. All that won't happen. So I have to balance out. Okay, my most exclusive products I will still do in a personalized form, where I invite people or give a specific link to them. Where my
Right.
generic products or something which is okay, we will put it up, at least showcase my products, because people have to know who we are, what we deal with. So we need to strike a balance between old and new culture. We can't go entirely new, we can't do entirely old. So we have to be where we have to be and stay relevant.
Right. I
So
think
that's how
very
we do it.
interesting example you mentioned about the sharing of the designs. Even I have seen this hesitation and reservation in the family jewelers. I don't want to put up my design on social media. Somebody will copy it and all. But I think those days of just thinking of copying, you can't restrict your brand to grow. So one side you have a growth, and the other side you may have this, thinking. Rohan, I come to you, and so you're also third generation jewelry entrepreneur, right?
Yes, good afternoon,
That's
everyone.
right.
Yes, that's
Good
correct. Third generation.
That's
Yes.
right. Good afternoon. So I'll like you to answer the same questions I asked Kirtana. How do you balance as between the family jewelers, the seniors, the founders who have set up a certain legacy, a certain system, and you bring in with your own education and your own thought process and new systems. How do you kind of balance it, and how difficult or how easy it is?
Well, I think it is actually quite a unique setup that family businesses have over other setups like which are not family run particularly because you have a combination of the old school style of working and then you have the new generation kind of coming in and not completely erasing that school of thought and adapting to that and keeping it up to the the running of today's day and age, how things have evolved with technology, how things have evolved with social media, how things have evolved with every aspect of our beautiful trade. So I think bridging that gap is something that is passed down from legacy to from generation to generation, and the way we can continue that seamlessly without creating too much of a friction is the right balance to maintain, I think.
Right. And Ron, you have taken your business e-commerce. You've launched recently an e-commerce site, and you're very much focused on that. So tell us more about it, how it was to kind of the reason for you taking e-commerce, and what kind of investments and efforts you have put in technology. Could you share some details?
Sure. Yeah. So we recently launched our e-commerce platform, and it was something that we've been planning to begin over like 2, 3 years now. We've been just thinking and wondering whether we should take that step or not, because like my fellow friends right now just said that the whole concept of exposing your prices, exposing your designs, and exposing your collections online for not only customers but even for competition to see is a step which one has to take very carefully and keep into consideration all other things that go along with it. And when this pandemic hit, and we were locked away in our homes and we were not able to go to work properly, and it just ignited something within us to take that step that let's just go for it. And it was like a gut instinct call that we just decided to execute everything. And even though it was very difficult to do all this with the lockdown situation, and everything was
Right.
way harder to execute, doing the shoot for the campaign, all the other things that go along with it, the jewelry had to be cataloged and profiled. All that took its own time, but yeah, we finally launched it just in time for the festive season, and we're very excited to kind of get that ball rolling.
So how's the response to be? It's too early, but you just launched it.
It's too early, but it's literally been like little over a week that we
Yeah.
went live. So we're still tracking the data. That's one thing which is very important. That when you go online, I think data analytics becomes key. Because
Right.
you can't expect on day one to sell out jewelry, overnight, because it's not
Correct.
like a fast moving consumer product, which is very easily accessible in terms of price and logistics. But we have had a few things sold already, so that's a good sign in such
Oh,
a short
really?
span. Yeah.
Great.
And currently we're only delivering to Delhi NCR and Mumbai. So as we get more data and as we can understand which regions are showing more interest, we will be able to expand our reach and our logistical setup to reach those cities and states as well.
Right. And what's your e-commerce store code? It's same hazurillalegacy.com, or you have a different
No.
name?
So the e-commerce portal is called shop.hazurillalegacy.com. You can also go visit the hazurillalegacy.com official website, and there's a link to the website over there as well.
Right. I'm sure it will be having a lot of inspiration for the other jewelers who wants to go for e-commerce and online. Great. Thanks, Rohan. So moving on to Anish Bhai. Anish Bhai, same question I'm rotating to everyone. So how do you balance different conflicting views, or views which may have a generation gap, working in a family jeweler? Since our focus is Gen Next, so how do you convince them? Do you brainstorm? Do you have kind of any other views and things to come together and kind of brainstorm and come up with what is good for the business?
So, frankly speaking, we have a lot of conflicting views.
That's good. That's good.
My grandfather is actively involved. He may not be
Okay.
into the business, but he's actively involved, and he knows all the things that is happening around.
Oh, really? At this age. How old is he? He's 90?
No. He is 78 now.
78. Okay, right.
So what happens is you have to understand and respect the thought that at least I have a lot of value, that they have built up everything with a very hands-on approach. They have and they have been karigars. They have made jewelry with they have sold it, and then they have built it. Vasant Bhai, my dad, I mean, he's a technical guy kind of, and it's not because he's my dad, but with all due respect, I feel it's really hard to find that kind of passionate guy. So at certain level, money doesn't happens to really excite them. What excites them is that passion, that sheer thrill that yes, this is
And they
what
want to make a difference. They want
Yes,
the
exactly,
product to be
exactly.
different from others.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then so it is very important that when there are certain decisions which have been taken or certain decisions which are not to be taken, you understand the reason behind it. Now, if you can get that reason behind that particular yes or a particular no or particular let's say kind of an attitude, it becomes very easy for us to accept that okay, fine, if I do want to do certain things and if he's insisting me to do certain thing, there's a reason behind it, or vice versa. If I want to take initiate certain things and if there is a yes, no, if or some other way out of it, that understanding that why it is coming from, where it is coming from, and then again you discuss your thought process into it. I am sure nobody is here on for across our families. Nobody is there to stop anybody. It's just that difference of opinion or different of thought process that goes. They have seen and understood, and their experiences are different from yours. So
Right.
it's just a matter of time, and you have to handle those in and out. And I think
So most of the time, who wins in the discussion, is Vasant Bhai or you?
so we have a very amicable situation. So
Situation, huh?
I've been lucky that in terms of financial decisions, he has given me a very open hand. Ki, okay, tere ko jo karna hai kar le.
Okay.
I have made a point that for whatever financial decision, I go back to my grandfather. So it is a
Good.
balancing kind of,
Okay.
And he invariably supports me. As in, "ठीक है, Anish को है ना, ठीक है, करना है,
Very,
तो करने
very
दो."
interesting. So you're squeezed actually in between.
No,
Huh?
I'm not squeezed. I'm
No,
not
I'm
squeezed.
okay, joking.
I actually take a step forward to update him that I am doing this.
Right.
अगर मेरे को
No, that's
इतना लाख
it's a
का
very
इतना
good
करोड़ का
system.
खर्चा करना है तो मैं ये कर रहा हूँ. And I want you to do because dad will not get involved in it. So
Right.
I need some kind of an support कि भाई नहीं मैं ये कर रहा हूँ तो ये ठीक है ये बार जरा देख ले
You're echoing your views with your grandfather, and you all are on the
Because-
same page. Yeah.
because the moment I say कि dad I want to do it भाई तेरे को समझ में आ रहा है कर लेना तेरे को for that financial freedom he never gets involved into it. He will get into ops, he will get into product development, he will get into how customer interacts. He's fantastic with his PR. You are aware of it.
Right.
So that
Yes.
focus is he. So it's a very balanced ending, but at the end of the day
That must be putting more, responsibility onto you that
Exactly.
you have been given the free hand to run it, and you have to deliver.
So वो बोल देता ना तुझे जो चाहे कर दे. That is the most dangerous statement कि तुझे जो समझ में आ रहा है कर ले. So you'll have to again it gives a lot of responsibility, trust, and then you really feel that there should not be any disappointment. But touch wood, they don't tell that there are certain decisions which are wrong. We take it into a learning curve, and we take it into a study, and they have been supportive all these years.
Very nice.
Yeah,
to hear
but
that.
yeah, that is there, and you learn with. So the only reason I go back to them is, if I'm wrong, then it should not feel bad. Okay, there has been a mistake. You tend to do mistake. काम कर रहे हो तो mistake होगा. But then at least they have that support or they have that confidence. Ki, okay, Anish come back home and on a dinner table or maybe on a couch, he just shares some kind of 2 or 3 bits of the whole day's happening. It just makes them feel comfortable. It makes me feel a little bit more less burdened. Like okay, fine, I have just there's a sounding board somewhere.
Got it. Yeah, nice, interesting insights. Yeah, Anand, I move on to you. Now you have a large business. You have what, 12 stores, Anand? How many? NSE?
Well, 11.
12 stores across. So although you are a family business, but still I'm sure you will have to be running it professionally. So how do you divide the responsibilities among your family members and still remain professional, still remain personal? But any insights you can share how the whole thing is run?
When I joined, I joined in 2013.
Okay.
So when I came into the business, it was pretty different because we had only one store and it was completely, a family-run business. So there were a lot of systems that I had to bring in. There was a lot of changes that I had to make. But the difficulty, like Kirtana said, was first thing is for to make my people believe that the change that I'm bringing in is for the betterment. And of course they did put because we all work in a family establishment where our employees are at least minimum 20 years of experience or 25 years of experience. So for them to change something is very difficult. Whereas, of course, thankfully for me, my dad has been somebody who's always open to change. So convincing him was very, very easy for me. So it was only with my team that I had to face a lot of difficulties. But yes,
Right.
eventually, it's about how we bring them together, and how we explain to them that it is for their benefit, that we are asking them to
Right.
improve, implement some processes so that things become easier for them. So that was the difficult part. But yeah, I think now we've been able to manage to bring them. Teach them about a little bit of technology, and using them morely for their strengths. So that is what is more important, because they, each of them is has a strong point, and we have to identify that, and utilize them only for those strong points, so that it makes them comfortable, and also it doesn't make it difficult for the company to progress forward.
Right.
That was
Yeah,
something.
interesting point you made that, employees who are probably there for last third worked with your grandfather. So
Yeah.
for them to see, okay, this young boy in front of me grown and he's telling me how to do business and how to bring a new system. So probably that must have been quite a challenge and a lot of resistance you must have faced.
Yeah, that was always very difficult, because I most of them, they had seen me grown up. So suddenly, take instructions from me. It was always
Right.
difficult. It was also a little difficult for me in the beginning, but I think it eventually caught on, and now it's much more smooth.
Become more professional relationship.
Yeah, it's become a much more of a professional relationship, where we try to make maintain the balance. At least within office, we try to keep it as professional as possible, and then later on go and after office hours, sit and discuss with them about my childhood memories and stuff like that. So don't lose that personal connect, but at the same time, try to make it as professional as possible during at least work time.
Right. Perfect. So now let us get your some views on this pandemic. As we know, it has been almost 6 months. We are facing this crisis. All of us have, I'm sure, faced problems where employees have come back to us, where we have our, say, banks have come to us, our customers have come to us with some difficult situation which never been faced. So, what is the kind of the learning from this crisis? Rohan, we start with you. This pandemic.
Could you repeat the question? Sorry, your voice
I'm
was
saying,
breaking in the middle.
yeah, all right. I'm saying this crisis of this COVID-19, this pandemic has been something very new to all of us. And during this 6 months, we must have learned a lot because we have faced, difficult employees having difficulties, our customers having difficulties, our carriers having difficulties, somebody's having a other financial challenge. So, what is your key learning out of this?
Well, learning has been that yes, I mean, it caught everyone off guard, and everyone was, surprised by the impact that this pandemic has had on our daily lives, obviously.
Yeah,
And whether you're, whether from a very well off, or whether you're from a very poor part of society, it's impacted everyone, in a big way. And it's just humbled everyone to just realize that how delicate human life really is, and how one needs to take all the necessary precautions in order to kind of live a healthy life. And coming back to the business side of things, I think, yeah, definitely it was a wake up call for people to realize that what they have in hand and what they can improve upon, because people had a lot of time to reflect upon things which are probably they don't have in their normal daily routine.
right,
So things like how, in my example, like we had that point to reflect upon and figure out that we need to go digital and we need to start the e-commerce platform. So
right,
it just kind of was a good point where people could reflect upon their situation, see what
right,
needs to be fixed, and take those steps and improve upon their situation and make themselves future friendly. Because going forward, such technology and all these things which are also now the virus has kind of taken us in that direction to understand the importance of such steps which we need to imply into our businesses.
So, like probably in your case, you always wanted to go digital and e-commerce, and probably this pandemic made you realize that it is important. You should do it now, isn't it?
Yeah, I
Something like
mean,
that is what
I
happened.
wouldn't say I always wanted to go e-commerce. It was something
Huh,
which I always had in mind to go. It was all I would have, like two people speaking on either side of my head, like you see in cartoons, like, yes, you should go, yes, you should not go, some stuff like
oh,
that. So but yeah, the pandemic really did. This guy won basically that you should go. So
Accelerated it. Yeah.
yeah, he convinced me, and then yeah, we we ended up going forward with it. Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, I can understand. Yes, Anishbhai, you were quite actively involved with even Zaveri Bazaar in the group which was helping the karigars and the needy people, and a lot of crises you must have seen in this 6 months. Any learnings from this?
Lot many, Sumesh bhai. I mean,
Ah,
very frankly speaking, as Rohan Anand mentioned, the importance of that human life and that human connect,
ah,
which uh, which made all of us realize that how blindly we were running to reach our goals, and this was a sudden complete break. Everybody dashed towards it. Maybe somebody may have crashed, or somebody may have fallen, or somebody just. But this pandemic gave us a lot of time to reflect on the way we do our things, the way reflect the inner side of it, reflect things around us. And I think with a lot of associations, as you mentioned, with Zaviri Bazaar and a couple of other guys, it only made me a better human being. I have got a lot of time understanding where we were coming from, how we were doing things, and where we really want to go. A lot of things have changed internally for us, the way we were working, the way we were organizing our businesses, a family life, time spent with near dear and ones, elders, my kids. So I think everybody of us, not especially me, I'm sure every one of us have had a lot of introspection time, and I think it has made a better version of ourselves, at least. If
that's
you would have,
nice to hear that.
yeah.
But I do, when I reflect, what is what is, we always used to hear health is wealth, but this period, this crisis really gave us that wake up call and think it is about health first and everything else is secondary. For me personally, just to share. Over to Kirtana. Kirtana, we like to hear with you this crisis, any learnings in business, personal life, any reflections?
Yeah, like everybody said in business, it was more about how we have to improve our processes, how digitalization has to happen wherever it didn't happen, maybe because of our regular operations. Everybody is so busy in their everyday life that whatever pending work was there, everything was being set in process. The processes are in place. Whatever had to be digitalized, like I said, are digitalized. In our employee front, in our family front, people have got more time. You have extended leaves. It's like a holiday, but in a bad way. But whatever, everybody got to spend a lot of time with family, which is a very nice thing, which
Right,
otherwise would have been really busy with their children, with their schools, or like parents with their offices, with the given scenario. So
right.
we've got a lot of time there, and you get to connect with a lot of people who are in need. So it reflects of who you are. It gives you a sense of dedication that you have to give back to the society in that time also, because a lot of people were suffering, be it your own employees or your
Right.
own ones in terms of health or like financially. So you have to be there for them emotionally as well. For employees, I thought we built a really good emotional support just being with them and connecting with them. I felt like whatever time we had, we conducted more meetings. We met a lot of our employees digitally, because you have more stores now. You don't have time to
Right.
go and interact on everyday basis, but now you had the time. So we invited 20 people, 25 people. You could interact with the top management. You could interact with your HODs or whatever. So you can talk your mind out. So it was a great opportunity that we could connect to our employees at a very good level. And so we spoke to them and they spoke to us just on a general level or professional training. So that way we could improve our relationship personally and professionally. Also, we had a lot of trainings and whatever new technologies or new items or product related. So we've improved on that as well. So
Right. Yeah, wonderful. And I also speak to senior people everywhere. What is common is I think everybody has also become a little bit more compassionate.
correct.
Compassion has, this pandemic has made us reflect. Yeah, it's not just about me. It is about the society, about our immediate near ones, dear ones, people. So that compassion has come. Anand, you tell us, Chennai had seen a lot of problems during pandemic. Any reflections, your learnings, personal life and business in this?
Well, see, personal life, it's almost kind of, changed our perception, to a large extent. We got to spend a lot of time with family, which we've never done. And, especially with my dad, him being the chairman of GJF, we hardly could even spend time, whether it was work or, whether it was personal life. So
Right.
he was stationed in one, city, and, he was in our house. So that itself was a big, bonus for us. So to sit and, interact with him and, try picking his brains out for, a lot of various ideas. So, and I think for me, I was very extremely happy because I was able to spend a lot of time with my kid. He's just 1 year old now, so I was able to spend a lot of time with him. So that was actually very good. And and yes, business front, like Keetana said, we also were able to spend a lot of time with our employees. We had a lot of brainstorming sessions with them, just to see, whether we will be able to improve certain aspects. Usually we don't get time to do all this. So it was actually really good because we were able to interact with them in a lot of ways, whether it was personal front or whether it was business front. We were able to speak to them, and it kind of gave us an opportunity to see where all we will be able to also cut some costs. Given the scenarios right now, it's very important to see where you will be able to cut cost as well. So all those aspects was really helpful for us, and we were kind of planning on what is it that we will be able to do, although it kept changing, depending on the lockdown and stuff. But yeah, we were able to do a lot of things. We, even during Akshaya Tritiya, we were able to see what is it that we will be able to do at least digitally, to interact with our customers, and to see whether we'll be able to pick up some sale digitally at least. So all that was some activities that we did during the lockdown, and it was really helpful, and it rather showed us what exactly we need to do to prepare for a scenario like this in the future. So it has showed us what is it that we need to do, because anything can happen. So at least we need to be ready in certain aspects, so that if at all something happens in the future, we are at least able to do something digitally, and we are able to at least make our presence felt. So that's important learning that we figure out.
Wonderful. I've got a question from one of jewelry person on my WhatsApp. I'm sure I can run that question with all of you, and then final question will be on the digital, and then probably we can wrap up. I think we're going fine. This question is about what is kind of best advice you have got from your elders in your family business. Most all of you are from the family business. It could be from your father, from your uncle or grandfather. Any best advice from where to start from? Start from you, Rohan.
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things going in my mind right now. But yeah, I think end of the day, I think I speak for everyone when I say that one of the best advice I got was from my grandfather. And he said that, no matter what happens, you cannot let a customer be unhappy. I mean, I'm just talking strictly business-wise right now. I'm not talking about life. Yeah.
Right.
But, whether we're a B2C or a B2B business, whether we're from the jewelry trade or any trade for that matter, I think not everyone is going to like your product. Not everyone is going to appreciate what you're offering. But that does not mean that you don't have to leave them on a bad note. So just being on the right page and being good to people and just being nice to each other. I think that is one of the best things that I learned from him. And people still come to me who used to buy jewelry from my grandfather, and they always mention that even if we did not buy from him, we always remember him because he was always such a nice person, and he always there was never any form of bitterness or any form of regret whether they bought jewelry or not. So just, I would say that be nice to people, and just customer is not always right, but you can make them feel that they are.
Great. Yeah, I think that's a wonderful insight. Yeah. Customer is always right. And if they are happy and your goodness comes back to you, you be good and goodness come back. Anish bhai, any advice? You must have got a lot of advice. I'm sure you're the one. Huh? So tell us some good points.
No, let it be. I'll just allow me to be a little elaborate. The
Okay.
one advice that I have always, they have made sure is value money. You know, it really, it's not about that how much you have, but it's always about where and how you are spending the money. You may have enough, you may not have enough. So, I'll just give you there are a lot of context and explanation to it, but just a very small example to it is, पहले हमारे दादाजी या पापा, whatever accounts they used to do with their hand. So, our great grandfather, he would have a system that हर रात को है ना एक चिट्ठी आना चाहिए जिसपे ये दिखना चाहिए कि आज दिन का तुम्हारा पोजीशन ऑफ स्टैंडिंग क्या है. With the invent of IT and the invent of so-called centralization and people doing invoices and billing, and your accounts are perfect, but you tend to this data analytics and जो reporting and ledger है, हाँ वो खाते में चला गया ये है. So one advice that what he gave me is when you get out of your office or when you get out of your factory, you should exactly know where you are standing, what you are standing in. So that value money आपका है ना, ये सेल्स है, आज ये खर्चा हो गया है, आज ये इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट है, आज ये है. Are you 1 rupee better or not? Or you 1 rupee down? It doesn't matter you are better or down, but you have to know where you are standing. So that value money is very, very, very important. You are spending in startup cultures, you tend to do so many new things. But if you don't value that every penny spent and every penny earned, future life will be really difficult for you. So that value of money should really realize every day before going to bed. You should understand where you are standing, how you are, where you are going. That's one thing.
And you still follow that system?
I try to, and I really, it's very difficult.
When you expand a lot, so many things
very
are
difficult.
happening.
That's why it's very difficult. But believe me that whenever I have switched on to this model now, there has been a fantastic revelations. There has been it completely changes the way you do things and way you do things. You think about doing things. The moment you put figures to everything you do, and that's all. Then you see how things change. You just put figures, that's all. Whatever you do, you put figures and then see how things changes for you. That's one thing.
Beautiful insight. Yeah, that is like you are having in the bottom line on every day, and you know where you stand.
It's not that easy. Believe me, it's not that easy. Saying it's not that, and you will be surprised. Sometimes you do wow, and sometimes you're like, oh my God, what is happening?
But you are always clear and you are enlightened on what's going on.
That's one thing. For them it was very naturally because they had a lot of hands-on thing. For us it becomes manufacturing units, branch offices, 2-3 businesses. So it's really a complex thing, so yeah. But then that's one thing what I always have appreciated.
Eye for details they had, that's the thing. Kirtana, you have any advice you remember is very close to your heart from your family members, from your seniors?
I think it reflects for the entire industry of what I'm saying, that you should have trust internally, externally. You should keep it, because internally within your employees also, because you're handling.
I request you to be bit louder, please. Closer, yeah.
So yes. Two things. One, I speak for the entire industry, is one thing which I got from the industry and from my elders is the trust we have to keep internally and with our external customers as well, because our product is it's very tempting, I will say, because one thing, and it's a lot of money. So we should have such emotional connect, such trust with our employees internally and externally. Also the hard-earned money that the customer is getting, the thing which we charge, the product which we give, the quality, so the assurance which we give is something which we have to keep it going. That's the legacy which we have. So the trust and value system has to be perfect. That should not change. Anything might change. It could be technology, it could be people, it can be anything. But your value system and trust cannot change absolutely in this industry or anywhere that matters. But that's those are the two things which I will keep in mind definitely. Which comes
Absolutely, those are the golden words: the value system, ethics, and trust. And this jewelry industry only works on trust. And I think for me personally, when I meet jewelers, I feel it is not just about the word; it is about the practice they put in every day. If a customer comes and say that this jewelry I'm not happy, or this is something I want a cash today, you have to give him. You cannot say, trust is my policy, but you're not implementing it. Implementing and talking both goes hand in hand. Very important, and this is a test for the jewelry industry. I moved to Anand. Anand, you must have also got a lot of advice from your elders and all. You share something interesting.
Yeah, I've always got a lot of advice, and I still keep getting a lot of advice, so it never stops. But I think that's the good thing of having a family that's so actively involved. Including my grandfather, who's still involved to this day. But I think the main thing that is always stuck in my head is the day when I joined both my dad and my granddad. The only thing that they insisted on, and the only thing that I've learned, which I would say proud of, is the ethical practices. Because they've always said it's not about what you sell, but it's about how you sell it. So basically, from the beginning itself, their aspects of ethical practices is always evolved only on what we offer to the customer. So it's ultimately what the customer gets, and we have to ensure that we don't make money in the wrong way by not by dissatisfying the customer. He has to be happy. So I've seen certain scenarios where they've always restricted themselves in selling certain kind of jewelry which they know is not going to be it's not going to give them enough returns at the when they want to eventually sell it, or stuff like that. So all those have always, been extremely surprising for me, because we've seen the competitors, go haywire in selling that kind of jewelry, and whereas my grandfather will say, no, I will not sell that kind of jewelry, because ultimately it's not advantageous to the customer to buy stuff like that. And we deal a lot of antique jewelry where, we have customers coming in not knowing the value of that piece. They come in, they'll want to sell it to us, whereas my dad will make them sit, explain to them what is the value of that piece, and educate them so that they eventually say, oh, it's this valuable, I didn't know, so I'll keep it with myself, and stuff like that. So all that is driven only by passion towards what we do. And that is something that I'll always remember, that we should always sell jewelry that is beneficial to the customer, and eventually it's the customer's happiness that we all do whatever we do. So
right. So it's all about adding value to the customer is what is, I think, the crux of your advice which you received from your elders. Wonderful. So we have come to the last section of our panel discussion, and I hope we're not going too fast or too slow. We have this last question regarding the future of jewelry industry. I was listening to Mr. Chetan Bhagat, who was there last Sunday, preamble to the Iijs virtual. And he said a very interesting thing. He said, you guys in jewelry industry are very lucky, because this culture and this tradition of buying jewelry in India will never go away. This is not an industry which will have any long-term recession. This is temporary. But you as a generation next, and your what do you see the future of a family jeweler and jewelry industry? Rohan, starting with you.
I think the future is bright. Today we can look at the challenges that we faced. The pandemic. Overall the market is in recovery mode. Everyone has their own opinions, and everyone has their own kind of way of looking at things. But I think, like Mr. Bhagat really clearly pointed, that the Indian system and the Indian culture is heavily revolving around jewelry. Whether it's weddings, whether it is festivals. Across all religions, whether it's gifting, whether it's Rakhi, whether it's anything, so like it is that one binding factor between all Indians, irrespective of what which religion they follow, irrespective of what they believe in, irrespective of which state or which part of the country they're from.
Rich, poor, everyone likes to buy jewelry.
Absolutely. And I think that's the beauty of our country, and it really goes to show that it's our responsibility to represent jewelry and jewelers in the right way, and we have to keep evolving. We have to keep moving in the right direction and represent India, in the right way. When people, visit an exhibition and they see an Indian jeweler, they are always, curious to know what we have to, show. Because unlike the West, where most of the jewelry is very similar to each other, Indians always have a different, approach to design and a very different approach to the craftsmanship of jewelry. So I think it's a great, few years that are ahead of us, and I think it's going to be exciting to see how things recover after we're done with this pandemic, hopefully soon.
Right, great, Rohan. Move on to Anish. Anish bhai, as a manufacturer, how do you see the future of the jewelry industry?
So I have there are 2 points which I need to mention. That one is the Indian jewelry. India as a country is very wide, huge, and deep. So any sudden India cannot absorb sudden changes. But yes, jewelry industry is changing slow by slow, bit by bit. And these changes are imminent, and they are changing it. Now, whether we are able to see it, not see it, I don't know. But I, just this IIJS virtual, we had some nice retail chain saying that we want something into very lightweight jewelry, or we want a jewelry which a 25-year-old would come and buy. So until and unless, so immediately the second point, one is it is slowly changing. There will not be a drastic change, but yes, please be aware it is changing slowly. The changes are every day it is changing. You may not see the changes in 6 months or 1 year, but last 5 years, 5 years back and 5 years now, I see a huge change in the way jewelry is being sold, jewelry has been bought, inventories have been stocked up, manufacturers are, the way products have been manufactured, it has been designed. There's a huge, huge change. That's one thing. And second, until and unless, if you understand and if you own your customer, I think we all are very good and fantastic in doing the kind of business we are doing. So understanding your customer's need, understanding where and what he requires, where he's coming from, how. If you own your customer, I think we have a fantastic future for coming generations. Jewelry is going to change, but until unless you adapt to the changes and understand your customers, I think we are good to go.
You're saying the future is bright, but you have to keep evolving with the times.
Yes, 100%.
Great point. Good point. Kitna, how do you see the future of our industry, and what's your take?
So definitely in India, especially South India, I speak for, loves jewelry, loves gold jewelry, and with the change and evolving nature of our customer, North Indians also have been really tuned to getting these antique jewelry and a lot of gold jewelry, which is a good thing, as across India a lot of people are preferring South Indian jewelry as well, and that also goes to the international clients as well. Like everybody is changing, it's an continuous evolvement which will happen. We have to evolve with time. So lot of us jewelers have gone online. We are okay to share designs. We are introducing new patterns. We're introducing new lightweight jewelry and functional jewelry which will appeal to the new generation brides like me, who I just got married, and I wanted functional jewelry. I didn't want I want a big jewelry. I want to feel like a princess during my wedding, but I can't wear like a one-time piece. So I chose something which like these diamond chokers, which like break down into a necklace and all this thing. So something like that, more functional, where I can use it for my sister's wedding or I can use it for my friend's wedding. So I want more functional jewelry like that. So we jewelers have evolved. We are changing rings into like lockets. We have moved like a lot. Like we've progressed a lot in terms of our production, in terms of showcasing our Indian culture. So definitely there is a very bright future, I would say. And India as such, I think we have this systematic investment plan for every, since childhood, we are saying during this festival, you have to buy so much gold. During Rakhi, you have to gift your sister. During your wedding, you have to buy so much. So we have planned. I mean, that culture is instilled in us, and we don't have to change it. No matter what, my mother will buy me jewelry because I have to have it, and it will pass on to my generation as well, because the thought process is there in us, imbibed. So
Right.
that's why I would say I don't think we should fear as much. Temporary disturbances do come and go, but I think we should be
Kirtana
okay.
is the only one who has stressed very bright. You all said bright. She's the only one said very bright future for our industry. Anyway,
Yeah.
Anand is there. Thanks, Kirtana. Anand, your views on the future, especially see the Indian economy is going to grow. The earnings, our GDP is growing. Per capita income will grow. All that money will eventually come to gold, jewelry. People are happy. They celebrate. Your quick views on this.
See, it's very simple. Jewelry is the only product that can be classified into many things. It can be classified into an asset. It can be classified into an investment class. It can be classified into luxury product. Anything So I don't think there is a fear when it comes to jewelry as such, because I always tell my friends and my customers that jewelry is the only investment that you can wear. So that's always going to be the case. So the future is going to be extremely bright. So as long as we keep innovating, and which has already been happening, and definitely things will give us a lot of opportunities to innovate and improve this trade.
Wonderful. On this wonderful and optimistic note, I'd like to thank everyone. Rohan, Anish Bhai, Kirtana, Anand, thank you for coming and sharing your such a honest and deep insights for this session. And over to you. We have Dolly and Rakshaji there. And thanks to the GJPC for giving me this opportunity to moderate and host this session. Rakshaji, are you there? Dolly, anybody from the GJPC?